Hey guys, welcome back to the first Future Specs video. And this is going to be one in a series that we're going to be doing every so often where we take a deep dive into the history of artists, writers, or even certain characters. So let's get into the comic book history of George Perez. So before we start, if you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and comment down below, and even consider subscribing to the channel for lots of videos like this and others coming out soon. So let's get into the history of George Perez. So first, just some brief information about him. He was born in New York in 1954, and his parents are from Puerto Rico. And he always wanted to be an artist and started drawing at the age of 5. So at the start of his career, Perez first published artwork as a backup story in Astonishing Tales 25 from 1974, which this book is the first appearance of Deathlock, and the story that Perez drew is a backup story, which shows the creators kind of coming up with the idea of Deathlock and then realizing that they don't really like the character, so they throw it out in the trash, and then the character comes to life and crawls out. After that, he started working on a small comic strip, The Sons of the Tiger, which appeared as a backup in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu title. And in this, Perez co-created the White Tiger, which is the first Puerto Rican superhero from any of the major companies. So Perez really started to make it big in 1975 when he joined the Avengers title, and he took over on issue 141 in 1975, and this would start his 5-year run on Avengers going till issue 202 in 1980. He would do the interiors and some covers on the series. And on the Avengers, he would work with different writers like Steve Englehart, Jerry Conway, Jim Shooter, and David Michelini, and created a lot of popular characters in this run. So some of the bigger, more popular characters that he helped co-create and draw are Jocasta, who is Ultron's wife, Scott Lang, Taskmaster, who is, that book's really heating up right now, the Black Widow movie, and the controversial issue with Ms. Marvel and that whole storyline. Those are some of their bigger, major keys from the run, but there's lots more of minor, smaller character first appearances and classic storylines that he worked on. So while working on the Avengers, Perez would work on some issues of other titles, but most notably was the Fantastic Four, including issue 176, when the Fantastic Four and the Impossible Man travel outside of the Marvel Comics universe and actually visit the Marvel bullpen, where they meet Stan Lee and Jack Kirby amongst other people, which is really cool. So some of the key books that he drew from the Fantastic Four are issue 164, which is the first appearance of Frankie Ray, who eventually becomes a Nova. So it's a bit of a spec book right now for the MCU because Kevin Feige has said that Nova is going to come eventually. We just don't know which version they're going to do. Another one is issue 184, which is the first appearance of Nicholas Scratch, who is the son of Agatha Harkness, who people were speculating on to show up in WandaVision, but you never know, he might show up in the future of the MCU at some point. So in 1980, while still working on the Avengers and after, he started on the New Teen Titans, which this is the run that really made him a popular artist with fans, and he would create a lot of different characters and revitalize and revamp the Teen Titans. So he drew the first 50 issues and covers of the New Teen Titans. So he would also draw the Tales of the Teen Titans series, which went on at the same time as this, which included the classic Judas Contract storyline, which introduced Nightwing. So some of the key Teen Titans books that he drew include issue 2, which is the first appearance of Deathstroke, and issue 21, which is the first appearance of Brother Blood, who is a Teen Titans villain that shows up over and over again in various stories and different appearances. And Tales of the Teen Titans issue 3, which is part of the Judas Contract story, which is the first appearance of Nightwing when Dick Grayson leaves the Robin title behind and becomes Nightwing. So in 1984, Perez took a break from the Teen Titans and started working on Crisis on Infinite Earths with Marv Wolfman. So Perez drew the covers and interiors for all 12 issues of this big series that was the celebration of 50 years of DC, and kind of rewrote their storylines into one timeline, getting rid of the multiverse to make it easier for readers to understand. So after Crisis, he started on Volume 2 of the Wonder Woman title, and this was the first series that Perez actually started writing, and he kind of added more of the Greek mythology influences from the character in this post-Crisis world situation, and started adding in characters from Wonder Woman's past and making them bigger and more important in this storyline. So Perez was the artist and writer on the first 24 issues, but then moved to just cover artist and writer from issue 25 to 62. And there isn't very many big keys from this run, but it is still a fan favorite for Wonder Woman fans, and some awesome artwork and covers by Perez. So as he was still writing Wonder Woman, he would return to Teen Titans in 1988 to be the artist and writer on a couple issues of the new Teen Titans on issue 50 through 61, and covers for 62 to 67. And Perez would work with Marv Wolfman again on these issues, who was writing the series up to this point. And Perez also did a little bit of work on Superman at this time. He did the art and writing for various issues of Superman and Action Comics, which varied from doing writing to covers to interiors on the separate issues. But Action Comics 643 to 652 was his main work on the character. So then the 90s rolled around, and that was when he started getting into trouble at DC. In 1991, he started writing the War of the Gods event for Wonder Woman, which was like this big culmination of all the work he'd been doing with Wonder Woman up to this point. But he ran into problems with the editors over many aspects of the story that they didn't like, that he wanted to do. And he also felt that they weren't doing enough to celebrate the history of Wonder Woman and the 50th anniversary, which is what this story was kind of celebrating. But the final straw was when DC replaced him with William Messner Loebs to write the wedding issue for Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, which was what he was building up to in his story arc the whole time, and what he was really looking forward to and wanting to do with the characters. So that's when Perez had enough and quit the title and DC altogether for a few years. So at the same time as the trouble with DC, he would start to work on the Infinity Gauntlet in 1991. So he started to draw the first 3 issues with Jim Starlin writing, but due to the stress that DC was giving him over Wonder Woman, he had to leave halfway through drawing issue 4. So Marvel brought in Ron Lim to finish the series, although Perez would still ink over top of Ron Lim's artwork. So because of this, Perez got the reputation of being an artist who can't finish projects, so he started working with indie publishers like Malibu Comics, but didn't really enjoy the characters that these indie publishers had, so he left soon after doing that. So at this time, Perez kind of took a break from comics work for a couple years, but would still do a couple small miniseries with Marvel, which the biggest one was Future Imperfect, which he worked with Peter David, which this is the series that introduced the Maestro, who is a future version of the Hulk who rules over the apocalyptic world. And after working on this miniseries, Peter David said that George Perez was his favorite artistic collaborator, and felt that he drew what Peter saw in his mind when he was writing the stories the best out of any artist he worked with. So at this time, Perez also just worked on some smaller things, like he had a short run on Silver Surfer in 1995 to 1996 for a year or so. He worked on issues 111 through 123, and he even wrote the Silver Surfer and Superman crossover issue in 1996, which is really cool. So in 1998, Perez would kind of come back to his first major title in a while and return to the Avengers, which was being written by Kurt Busiek. So he would work on this title for 3 years, and he started to receive critical and fan acclaim again and started to become a favorite artist after his kind of trouble times over the past couple years. And this run has again become a classic stories and art for fans. And then in 2003, he would draw the art for the Marvel and DC crossover miniseries for 4 issues with Kurt Busiek, which this series was originally supposed to happen in the 80s, but Marvel and DC couldn't come together and agree, so they ended up just canceling it. But finally, they were able to do it So in the 2000s, Perez would kind of slow down and not do as much work and would do occasional covers or issues here and there, which included the Infinite Crisis series in 2005. He did some variant covers and fill-in art for the main 1 through 7 issues, and this is this event that's the sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which Perez worked on originally. So he worked on Crisis on Infinite Earths, now Infinite Crisis, and in the future he would work on Final Crisis. So he did artwork for all 3 of DC's major events and Crisis stories. So I think that's cool how he was there through the whole saga of it all. So then in 2011, when DC rebooted their universe with the New 52, he would work on the Superman title again for a couple issues. He wrote and drew the first 6 issues of the Superman title, but left after that. So the last big thing Perez worked on was a 6-issue miniseries from Boom Studios called Sirens, which was a sci-fi series written and drawn by Perez from 2014 to 2016, and it followed a female fighting group in space and other planets and stuff. So as of right now, Perez is retired and he doesn't go to cons anymore, which I was lucky enough to meet him and have him sign something when I met him at his last Canadian con appearance, which is really awesome. I didn't even know it was his last appearance until I got home the next day. But there is rumors that he might be working on another series or issue or something. But as of right now, he hasn't done anything recently. So, thank you guys for watching. I had lots of fun researching and doing this video. So, if you enjoyed, please comment down below and subscribe, because we're going to be doing this for other creators, artists, writers, and certain characters. So, see you guys in the next video.